Okay, and on to the City of the Ancients. These are the heroes. We won them all up this time. So over here, this one is the new gunslinger. That is the old gunslinger, the new US Marshal, the old US Marshal, the new saloon girl, the old saloon girl, the new Bandido, old Bandido. And I must admit, most of these I actually prefer the new ones. So particularly the two on this side, the gunslinger and the US Marshal, I much prefer the poses of the model. This gunslinger, so if I just rotate it round, you can see it's got this sort of two hands on one gun out in front pose. Sort of with their coat billowing in the back, which it's quite action posing, but it was a bit of a pain to get glued together correctly. There's a lot of room for error on that and getting it right. Whereas the new one, this one over here, as you see, it's only the one hand on the gun, the other hand out at the back. Much easier to put together, and as across the board, there's a much greater level of detail in them. The models are, I think, ever so slightly larger. Certainly the limbs are thicker, and occasionally a bit higher. The saloon girls, very similar. No obvious difference in stature on these. We'll just rotate both around a bit again. There's no obvious difference in stature on those. They are the same, effectively. Just more detail on that one. The Bandido. There is a nice change again. The Bandido actually has options for the sort of left hand arm. There's the traditional dynamite, as the original one has here, dynamite, but there's also, as I've used, the double pistol, representing the various different builds the Bandido can have. So I went one with dynamite, one for pistols, just for the pair of them. Okay, and the XL model, boss enemy of the City of the Ancients, is this one, the Goliath. Not much change here, actually, I must admit. Certainly the upper torso and head is very, very similar. This sort of tongue tentacle things are the same in both. The sort of bending tentacle arms bend the same way, and the back is curved and arched the same way. There is a difference down here if you look on the arrangement of the feet. If I rotate it around right that way, so they are parity, you can see, because of this new sort of base they've got here, the Goliath front leg here is bent up a bit more, but really that's it. There's not much change to the Goliath. There is an improvement on the detail. I think if I turn them around, I don't know if this will come out on the video, but you can see on the likes of the legs here, there's more sort of scales, an effect like that. But they're very similar. They are very, very similar models. The two Goliaths. So those two. Okay, the large model from City of the Ancients is the Night Terrors, and if you look at them there, they're very similar. There's a slight change in the right arm. It's a bit lower in the old one. This is my Snow Terror variant. So if you turn it around, you can see that's where that one's arm is, and that's where that one's arm is. So yeah, there's a slight change in the arm positioning, but other than that, they are very, very similar models. The new one is slightly better in terms of ease of construction, though. There's less pieces in it, even though it is the same. So points on that. So yeah, so points on that front. Okay, and here's one of their medium enemies, the Stranglers. This is the new Strangler over here. This is the old Strangler over there. As you can see, the new Strangler, again, we were talking about earlier with the plane of the Hellbats. If I turn it around, you'll see it's a all-in-one model printed in that plane, which means it loses some of the depth that this original, I say it's not quite that the original one has, but it's bigger, better detail, similar position. I'm not quite as upset about that as I am the Hellbat, I must admit. I'm not really upset about that, but it's my preference. Okay, and the last on the City of the Ancients is the Void Spiders. I'm not sure how easy these are going to be to show. They are very, very similar, but if I try and lift them up from the back, you'll see the legs are splayed. Yeah, can't really see on this one. Let's get one of my darling daughters, cheese spiders as she calls them. There we go, cheese spider. If I lift it up from the back and try and lean it up there, you might be able to see the leg patterning is basically a little bit different. That is it. Otherwise, very, very similar, the Void Spiders. So, right, okay, tentacles. Yeah, they're the last thing, and they're in both sets. Previously, the three in the middle, these three were the same across both boxes. There wasn't any difference between the tentacles in the boxes. Now they're different. So I think if I get it correct, these are the ones from the City of the Ancients. These are the ones from the Swamps of Death. So you've actually got 4 different variants of tentacles now. They're not really that different. I mean, this one's kind of like that one. That one's kind of like that one. Yes, that one's like that one. So it's like this one appears to be the extra 4th that you don't get. And they're about the same. There's no real difference in terms of detail or stature or anything like that. But yeah, there you go. Those are the tentacles. And with that, that is all of them. That is all the various different models out the core sets, comparisons side by side. I don't know if that's going to be of any use. Well, I hope it is. But there we go.